You know, if you take everything I've accomplished in my entire life and condense it down into one day, it looks decent.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Decent Show. I've lost count of what episode we are on, but this is a great episode. This is an episode that Reagan and I have been waiting to do for a while, and that is basically DC in review. A shit story. No, but we're going to be reviewing the DC movies. We're going to be going over pretty much all the ones that have come out so far in anticipation for Aquaman. Neither one of us has seen it yet because life is hard, and we are also going to be ranking the current DC movies, and then we'll hopefully kind of do, like, in our next episode, maybe do like a follow-up and see where we put Aquaman in the mix of what we do here today. So, you know, just without further ado, it's Ryan Money here, joined by Reagan Horton, the guy doing all the legwork. We are on a new mic, so if it sounds better, you're welcome, and if it doesn't, sorry.
If it doesn't, you're wrong.
Yes, exactly. And in anticipation for this episode, you know, instead of rewatching hours and hours of horrible movies, we decided to take the quick route and watch the CinemaSins on them, which still honestly took a while because the CinemaSins guy, shout out to him. Most of you know who watch this or listen to this, know that I'm a big fan of CinemaSins. And he does like 20-minute reviews on all of these movies now because there's so many problems with them. Yeah. And in 20 minutes, like, you pretty much get the whole movie. Now, granted, there are times, like, whenever we rewatch the Suicide Squad one, you know, I haven't seen that movie since theaters, so there's still, like, a lot of things to where I'm like, ooh, and same with BVS. I'm like, I don't know what exactly he's, like, ripping on right there, just because I haven't seen the movie in so long. But basically, it is like watching the whole movie over again. And that's what we did to get ready for this episode.
Alright, so we'll be going down, we'll probably go chronologically of all the DC movies, and we'll go with your initial impressions, maybe what you thought when you saw it in theaters, and we'll go with something like where you would put it, and of course our famous patented ranking scale. Cannot be denied. So we're going to start out with Man of Steel.
Yep.
Came out in 2013.
Yes.
So it was a while ago.
Yes.
And pretty much just about Superman.
2013.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
It's been a minute. And then, so what do you think about that movie?
Ooh, safety. I just had a great part. That one stinks. I'm sorry.
My God.
Had some red meat for dinner. So anyway.
Excellent thoughts.
Yeah, excellent thoughts. Yes. Man of Steel, much like my farts, was stinky but enjoyable. Now, honestly, after rewatching the CinemaSins, my first initial reaction is, wow, there's a lot of good actors in this movie. Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Lawrence Fishburne, Henry Cavill, to me, is a great Superman in terms of appearance and likability. You know, Superman's always, to me, had troubles on the big screen. I still have never gone back and watched the Christopher Reeves Superman.
Yeah. But you bought the Donner cut things, dude.
Oh, I got them all. Yeah, I have all of them. I just haven't watched them. I don't remember how did the this is off topic, but how did the public feel about those? Did people enjoy those?
The Donner ones or whatever?
Yeah,
the old ones. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The first two are done by the same guy, and the first one is like regarded as like the most important movie, like the most important superhero movie ever, because it was actually decent, and the special effects were like mind blowing at the time, and you know it was actually like a good representation of the character. So like that was a good movie, and then the second one was good because he fights Zod and all that, and like everyone liked that as well. But then there was some beef between him and the studio, so he got fired, and they did two more. And Christopher Reeves didn't want to do one of them, or he didn't want to do the fourth one, but he ended up doing it because it's like a movie about like, I guess just environmentalism. Like it's like he fights a nuclear man, like he was like born out of nuclear. That's actually another dumb thing. We'll get to that in a minute. But those two aren't regarded as highly, and then Superman Returns obviously is like has a positive Rotten Tomato scale. It's like 70-something%.
Really?
Yeah, but it's not a good movie. I don't think anyone likes it. I don't see how anyone likes it.
I've never heard of anyone liking it. I haven't seen it since theaters. It's so boring. And I want to go back and rewatch it, but obviously I don't want to pay attention. I'll just have it like on in the background because, you know, it's a long, boring movie. But it's got Kevin Spacey in it as Lex Luthor. But anyway, back to Man of Steel. Great cast, though. Russell Crowe, and then Michael Shannon, I believe is his name.
Yeah. The other dad's
and
Kevin
Costner.
Costner, that's it.
Kevin Costner. And that's the other one I was thinking of. Yeah, so like really talented cast for a superhero movie. Now, granted, most of the time they do have a talented cast, but like to have that many side characters
that are like
be like
minor too.
Yeah, be A and B list actors. You know, is pretty impressive. But I don't know, in terms of the overall feel of the movie. After watching the Cinema Sins, yeah, you know, he obviously like rips on a lot of things, but a lot of it's kind of minor. To me, the biggest problem is that I have with the movie, and he brings it up a lot, and we kind of talked about it off air, and that would be the whole, just the whole fighting thing, like Superman fighting. Like, he has all these powers. Most of us generally know what his powers are. Someone like me who's not as experienced with like reading comics and just generally knowing things, it's one of those things to where it's like, okay, what should he be doing? Because like CinemaSins always rips on how like, oh look, they're throwing each other through buildings, it's pointless, it doesn't hurt. They're punching and kicking, and you know the finale where he kills Zod, he kind of just
snaps his neck.
Yeah, so it's one of those things to where it's like, okay, like we have a modern day movie with all these special effects, all these capabilities, and we still don't know what to do with Superman. I don't know. To me, Superman's one of those people to where they've just really never been able to execute with his powers. And to me, it continues through Justice League, like, and BVS.
Most people will agree with you, generally. Like, there's never been a really great Superman movie. I mean,
exactly.
Like, we like the Christopher Reeves ones, but we can't really like those anymore. They're so aged.
Yes.
Yeah, honestly, like, I remember watching this movie, and I remember thinking it was, like, I remember the trailers being, like, really freaking awesome.
Great trailers.
And I remember being super pumped for it, and I went and saw it with my brother, and he was super pumped for it as well. And I remember thinking, like, watching the movie, I was like, this is kind of slow, but it was very Batman Begins. But the thing about Batman is his I don't know, the way that it's done in Batman Begins is like, it's a good origin story, I guess, because it's like interesting. They're able to keep your attention with things. Like, it's cool to see him training. It's cool to get backstory on Liam Neeson's character. It's cool to see, like, and they do it out of order, which this movie is very clearly like a copycat of that style, because they do like different flashbacks throughout the movie of like his childhood all the way to like being a teenager to like then like I guess they're trying to make Henry Cavill look super young. I guess he's like in his early 20s there or something when his dad dies.
Yeah.
And but they like, it's not as interesting, and it kind of drags a while. And honestly, like, looking at this movie, I think that it's kind of like when you watch the movie, you're like, you can see where the train started to fall off the tracks, because every problem that is in this movie, and there aren't that many, but every problem in this movie is amplified 10 times over in the next one. And it's pretty, I don't know, I'll get to
What do you mean the next one?
I mean in Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah.
Because in this movie, to me, the problem is they don't really know what to do with Superman action scenes. They had an awesome one in the town when he was fighting multiple people. They were able to do like they got creative with it, because they were fighting the military as well. So they're going after the airstrikes. They were going after the planes. They were going, he was fighting two of them at the same time. Like, they were in the train yard. Yeah, they were throwing like through buildings and stuff, but it was still like way more interesting than I feel like the last fight is, which is just one-on-one, and they really just throw each other at like buildings repeatedly, and then stuff in the sky, and then like, anyway. So I feel like it's sort of, the beginning is a little slow, and the ending isn't as great as it could be, but I feel like the middle is pretty solid.
Yeah.
And it is stupid that they kill Russell Crowe, but they don't really kill Russell Crowe. But I do like some of his lines, so I kind of let it go.
Yeah, I definitely remember letting it go, and then seeing the CinemaSins, I was like, this makes no sense. Yeah, he's like not dead.
He's not dead, and it's kind of a cop out. But it's like one of those things where,
and it's like, where is his mom?
I don't know. To me, it's an example of the movie's good enough to where I let it go. I let it go. It's just good enough to let it go, but I do let it go.
But where is his mom? Like, they don't even talk about his mom. Like, Russell Crowe has all these powers to be there and give him messages, but mom's just dead.
I guess they liked it. They didn't show it in that, but there was a send-off where it's just her standing there and she watches the world explode, basically. And I guess they just liked that as the ending more than, I guess, Russell Crowe has like a couple, and it sets up some cool conversations he has with Zod and like other people, but it's still a cop-out, They tried to do a different version of what they did in the Christopher Reeves ones, where he can talk to his dad, like in the crystals and everything. And they spoof it on like every TV show. But like they tried to do a different version of that, and it wasn't as interesting. But I'm gonna say it right now, this to me is the best DC movie.
You're already just going.
I know
going
it is.
for it.
To me, it is. Like, it's not even close. Like, at one point, I was like, this is, like, in my top 10 of, like, superhero movies.
Ooh.
But then we've had so many superhero movies since 2013. Like, I don't count it anymore.
No, unfortunately not. And I'm trying to think. I mean, what else is in the DC? Yeah, I was going to say maybe besides Wonder Woman, this would be my number one. I would say maybe it and Wonder Woman are tied just because it's been a while since I've seen it. Yeah. Like since I've seen Man of Steel, but I do remember when I watched it, I was like, "Oh wow, this is actually pretty good." Like, hey, DC's finally got something going. This is finally a decent Superman film. Good for them. I like Henry Cavill, so I mean, I was satisfied with it. And then, like on our ranking scale, like I'd probably give it a mad decent.
Same.
Yeah.
To me, it screams like, and I'll bring up this movie again later, but like Captain America 1 and 2, where like Captain America 1 is like solid. And then, like, Captain America 2, to me, is, like, so much better. I feel like if they had made a Man of Steel 2, just, like, in 2015 or so, I don't know, like,
how long was it between Man of Steel and BVS?
Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
So if they just got on Man of Steel 2 and maybe hinted at Batman, I feel like it could have been, like, really, really good. Because they would have learned, they wouldn't have to have the origin, The origin really slows it down. And I think they would have, I mean, obviously they wouldn't have because they don't really do it in any of the other movies, but it would have been nice to see some creative action scenes, Like Captain America, he can just fight, And like in the first Captain America, he's just throwing the shield and he's shooting a gun or whatever. But then in Captain America 2, he's taking down a jet with a shield, and they're having that fight with the Gatling gun, like on the bridge, and they're having a fight in the elevator where he takes down like 15 people all at once, and they're using like magnets on him, and it's like really cool, really creative stuff with a guy that just can punch, which is basically Superman.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things to where I don't get the struggle, and especially like 3 years. You know what I mean? 3 years between those movies, and they like just couldn't come up with something better for BVS. Like, I feel like we're going to be jumping into BVS here. That's the next movie, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not much. There's a lot to talk about a couple of these movies, and there's not a lot to say about the other ones to me. Because to me, there's a fine line between which ones are good and which ones are not.
Yeah, because I don't have much else to say about Man of Steel. I mean, it's got its few plot holes like any other movie. It's got some inconsistencies, but it's got great actors. Considering it's an origin story, it's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I've heard, I don't know, maybe it was just one or two people, but I mean, I've heard some people go, "Oh, it was terrible, it was boring," but it's like, are the other movies really better? Because no, they're not. But
a lot of people had a problem with. Let me ask you how this bothers you. Do you have a problem with the color in it? Because there's not a lot of color in it.
There's not a lot of color in it?
No, it's a lot very gray and drab. Like, Superman's outfit is, like, very not saturated. Because a lot of people have a problem with that.
I mean, now that you mention it, maybe. But at the same time, I don't think I really noticed it.
Or even care.
Not really. Maybe it was, like, I guess when there's stuff going on, you don't really notice it. But maybe in, like, the slower scenes, the dialogue scenes, it is kind of drab, because whenever you said that, I immediately thought of like the Office scenes, like when they're at the office, it's just real plain, humdrum, real whatever, like no vibrant colors, nothing really exciting going on either, nothing. And I don't know either, like there's just no, it's amazing how much the writing makes a difference. Like to me there's no backbone, there's no soul, there's no whatever you want to call it. There's just no it factor to what's happening in the movie that's not fighting. Mm-hmm. Like when they're doing the superhero stuff, it's good. Mm-hmm. But when they're not doing the superhero stuff, it barely keeps your attention. And other movies are, like especially like the Marvel movies, like Captain America, a dude that can just punch, when he's not actively fighting people, they still have a way to make the movie interesting. And both movies,
and who he is and what he's capable of.
Exactly. And both movies have great actors, so it's not a lack of talent. Yeah. To me, it's the writing. Because when they're not fighting, like it's everything in the DC universe to me feels so forced. Like everything
all
is
the jokes
forced.
To me feel really forced.
Yep. All the jokes to me are scripted. Nothing feels natural. Like it never takes me away. Mm-hmm. I actively know that I'm watching a superhero movie. And I'm like, oh, I bet they're going to make this scripted joke. Or whenever they do make the scripted joke, I'm like, oh, scripted joke.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They're like, I'm going to say this because it seems natural for me to say it. But they don't just naturally say things. You know, if that makes any sense.
I feel you.
Yeah.
So what do you feel about him snapping Zod's neck at the end? How do you feel about it?
I think I need to rewatch that scene just because, like, we saw a really quick version of it. But yeah, it's one of those things to where he's holding Zod while Zod's doing it the whole time. So why did that family live? That family that was being lasered?
Lived. Yeah, right before they were gonna get lasered, he snaps the neck.
Why was he lasering that family?
He's like, if you can, whatever, you can mourn for them. You know, like he's upset because like Superman basically just destroyed like every chance of there being like another Krypton, basically, because he destroyed that ship with all the birthing chamber things, which is weird. And so he destroys that, and he's like, well, then you just let us all down. And I'm like, I'm gonna kill everyone here. Yeah.
And so he just starts going at one family.
Yeah,
and
it happens to be there. Yeah.
While Superman's holding his head.
Yeah. And also it's his eyes, so like he could certainly just do that, like, because he's like, it's slowly going towards them. And I'm wondering why his eyes aren't moving left to right, you know?
Yeah, because he's not holding his eyeballs, he's holding his head.
I don't know, it's kind of a dumb scene, but it's fine. It's not like the worst thing ever.
Honestly, now that we've broken it down like that, I think it is very dumb. Because again, he's holding his head, he's not holding his eyeballs. So if he really wanted to kill the family, he could just look right at him and kill him.
That's true.
So
that movie had a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. Then we move on.
Wait, Man of Steel did?
Yes.
Okay.
So almost fresh. So
okay.
We move on.
We both gave it mad decent.
We both gave it mad decent. So then 3 years later, we have BVS. This movie was
most hyped movie
ever.
Almost ever, yeah.
This movie was announced a month after Man of Steel came out at Comic-Con.
Jesus.
And they came out with that. They announced it then, right? So that's 2013. Then the next year they had a trailer, like a very short teaser, like 10 seconds of both of them basically just looking at each other.
Yep.
People went nuts. Then a year later they had another trailer. Then like 6 months later they had another trailer. And so this movie was delayed from 2015 to 2016, and then it had the same date as Civil War, but then it moved up 2 months. So it went all over the place. So they delayed it an extra like almost a whole year. Which
to me immediately shows you that they did not know what they were doing.
To me, it's like, you had all this time, and this is what you gave me, like, and you delayed it, you know?
Yeah, because they couldn't figure it out.
Delayed it, you know?
It was too bloated.
Yeah.
That to me, that shows that it was too bloated, and they didn't have a good game plan, or they were like,
they stopped it, and they were like, hey, we need to build a Justice League now, so shove all this stuff down.
Shove it in there, and then they go, well, this doesn't really make sense, so let's rewrite it. Well, let's do this. Well, let's change this. Because it's not making sense, but we need this info in there, and then this is the product we get. Because they're like, okay, well, it's been 3 years, we got to put this thing out.
Yeah,
and we got what we got.
To me, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but it is a rather long movie. It feels so long, and
it feels like eternity.
And it's like maybe 5 minutes longer than The Dark Knight, you know. And like it feels so much longer, and it's like almost as long. It's a little bit longer than the Avengers. But the Avengers does not feel that long. Like other movies, basically, like that are around the same length, it just doesn't drag for as long.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it's because there's a lot of slow motion. Part of it's because there's a lot of flashbacks. This is what I'm talking about, where it goes off the rails. Like they were a little off course in Man of Steel. There was a little too much flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, there's way too much flashbacks, and they're just random and weird.
Yeah, I don't understand most of the flashbacks. Like, what is all the flashbacks of Batman about?
One of them is just a giant bat eating him for some reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be in the movie, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's cool, but it doesn't need to be in the movie.
So why is it happening?
And then
that's what he dreams of?
The one I have the biggest problem with, and it's actually it's like two. It's where he's like in a post-apocalyptic future or whatever, where there's like Superman is with the demons, basically, and he's fighting all of them, right? And then Superman comes and like it's all super drab and whatever, and I'm like, why is this in the movie? Because it never adds up to anything. I guess this is like his nightmare. Like it's a cool scene, but why is it in the movie? Like it's just a nightmare. It's just like, yeah, he's afraid of Superman. we could have done that in any other way. But then after that, the Flash teleports like through time, and tells him like, "Yo, you gotta. It's Lois. She's the one that is gonna,
Make or break.
make it break. Like
Make or break the universe.
Yeah, like if she dies, like he's gonna go and insane basically. But there's no point in this movie where Lois is in danger, and Batman can save her. There really isn't.
It never happens.
No, because like she falls off that building, Superman saves her. Before that, Superman saved her in the desert.
When she's okay, I didn't understand the desert thing either. What was up with the desert thing? Like, are they trying to frame Superman for something?
This is another stupid plot point.
Yeah.
So they shoot all these people, right?
Who's they?
Lex Luthor's people.
Okay.
They shoot all these people. Superman doesn't catch them somehow. Whatever. He saves Lois. They like, all right, so Superman clearly, and they flamethrower the bodies, but there's bullets in there. So it's like, and they're a specific type of LexCorp bullets. And they're like, okay, Superman killed these people with his heat vision. And it's like, certainly someone, like some scientist could look on the fractures of these bones and like look at the metals and the DNA, like some science bullcrap. But it's possible. Like you can tell if someone's been shot to death or burned to death.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a thing. And they're like, yeah, it was Superman. And it's like, how do we know this?
So Lex Luthor was just trying to frame Superman for the death of who? Who did they? Who? You know what I mean? Just random people.
It's just random people in that village, And it's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, this dude literally, because it takes place like a few months after Man of Steel. So it's like, this guy just saved your world. He's going to start laser beaming people now?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
So that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. You got anything to say?
Yeah. I got a lot. Oh, I mean, I don't even know where to begin, so it's probably going to be scattered. But it's just one of those things to where this movie is so bloated, and it's covered a lot that Jesse Eisenberg is a fine actor. I mean, he's whatever, but like, why of all the people is he playing Lex Luthor? Like, I would have loved to see the casting auditions for the people that wanted to be Lex Luthor, what they looked like and what they sounded like.
And there was a rumor there was going to be Tom Hanks at one point. And that would be kind of cool.
I don't even know if I could see that. That sounds ridiculous. But, I mean, I'd probably rather have Tom Hanks over Jesse Eisenberg just because he's too young. Like, how does he know all this? How does he do all this? How is he already in control of this
mega corporation?
And he's so wacky, and he's just weird, and the whole time he's on screen, I'm uncomfortable. Like, I don't...
It's very... Especially that speech he gives. Like, he gives a speech when Batman and Superman meet each other at that party. He gives a speech there, and, like, it goes off the hinges, and he talks about things being, like... He uses, like, he uses, like, paradoxical, and it's, like, a weird word that he just randomly throws out there, and it's, like... It's so... Dude, he has such a... His voice is, like, cracking... it bothers me.
It's awful.
It's hard to watch. It's really hard to watch.
He's very hard to watch. And the whole time I'm watching him, I'm just like, I feel like this is Jesse Eisenberg just being crazy. Like, it doesn't even feel like Lex Luthor.
No.
Like, I literally just feel like I'm watching Jesse Eisenberg spaz out on the screen.
That's the thing is, like, I don't even think I don't even think if he was any character, that wouldn't bother me. I think it doesn't work at all. Like, for anyone.
Mm-mm.
It seems weird.
He doesn't belong in there. And then I didn't care for... the whole movie is a lot of, hey, this is happening, accept it, in terms of just, like, again, not a whole lot of, considering how long the movie is, it's horrible plots, horrible explanations.
I
it's
looked
like,
at The Dark Knight is 1 minute longer.
Nice.
So
yeah, so it's one of those things to where they have plenty of runtime, but they, like, put way too much in there and don't explain most of it, and they're just like, here you go, they take this for what it is, and then... I mean, and this is, to me, a lot of movies have been doing this to where, like, if you're going to give me a crappy setup for the first hour of the movie, why have it? Mm-hmm. If I don't enjoy the first hour, I shouldn't have to wait an hour to get to the part that we want to see.
And if you're going to have a crappy setup, do it faster.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it took an hour for us to see Batman and Superman, for them to even be in their suits in the same room together. So it's like, And the first hour wasn't enjoyable. I wasn't like, oh man, this first hour is crazy. So much setup. I can't wait till they start like getting in their suits and fighting each other.
It's like a good mafia movie or a gangster movie where the setup is a lot of it, where it's like the tension is building.
Yeah, there's no tension building.
Or like A Quiet Place, the tension builds a lot.
And there's nothing building. It's just
it's random scenes. They don't even seem like they belong together.
No, they don't. And it's one of those to where it's, to me, even worse in Suicide Squad, where they're just like, they had all these ideas for scenes and they shot them, and then they try to put it together like some misshapen puzzle.
Yeah.
And you get this crappy puzzle at the end that it's not complete. The pieces don't fit, but they're just like, yep, here you go. We glued it together. And like, here's your movie. And to me, they did that in BVS and Suicide Squad. To me, it's worse in Suicide Squad than it is in BVS. But BVS still has that problem where they're just throwing scenes together. And they're like, you're going to love it because it's got all these people in it.
Yeah. To me, like, something I can't look past is, like, Batman uses a lot of guns and he kills a lot of people.
In the movie?
Yes, a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it just drives me insane because that should never be the case.
But I guess it's because of the whole he's old and jaded now.
It's never explained.
Nothing's ever explained.
No.
Nothing's explained.
We assume it's because the Joker killed Robin.
Exactly.
But it's never said. But like, Alfred's never like, look, I know. Like, it'd be a great thing to just throw, like, Alfred would be like, yo, I know, like, he's dead, but he can't be a lunatic, you know?
Yeah.
Because how much better would that scene be in the flashback where it's like, oh shit, like, Batman's using guns. Like, he must be really desperate or something, you know? But he's just using guns in the rest of the movie. Like, he shoots a thing at a flamethrower guy and kills him. And he throws, like, a grenade at a guy and kills him. And he fires a gun at other guys and kills them while they're still holding it. And then he uses the bat gun on the car and the plane to just mow down people in cars. Like, and it's just like, why wouldn't he just have guns on his belt then? You know?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't he? I mean, if you're using guns, why would you go to a fight and just be like, all right, I'm not
Want to use your guns.
I'm running out of money on my mansion, so like I can't afford to buy guns. So when I get there, I'll take a guy down, take his gun, start killing the rest of them.
I mean, I guess it doesn't trace it back to him. Maybe they're like, well, Batman's not out there killing people. They all just died in a gunfight.
Yeah, exactly. They're not gonna like take the bullets
and be like, oh, these are Batman's bullets. These are Batman's
Superman's
guns.
killing these people.
Yeah, Superman's killing them.
So yeah, not a fan.
Not a fan.
But like,
and they throw Wonder Woman in there.
Yeah, throw Wonder Woman in there. But like, there are cool scenes in the movie. But to me, I remember watching it in theaters and going, this is taking a really long time. Like, I remember thinking, this is a really long time it's taking. Because, like, you don't notice it. Like, you really don't notice it. But, like, there's no action in this movie for, like, an hour and 45 minutes. Like, it feels like forever.
Yes.
And all the action's at the end. Because, like, they fight, then he saves Martha, then they fight Doomsday. And those are all, like, right after each other.
Yep.
Instead of those being a little bit spread out and giving us some room. But, no, we have to... Here's Batman. Here's Superman. Here's, like, political people on the news. Here's Batman stealing the kryptonite. Here's what kryptonite is. Here's Lex Luthor doing his thing. Here's the trial. Here's them talking to each other for once. Here's them, like, it's just, it keeps going for
forever.
And there's a Lois Lane side plot that means nothing, that never goes anywhere. She figures out that, like, they're LexCorp bullets, and she's like, why would you do this? So she basically figures out he's the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason that exists is because so like she can be in danger, and like I guess and like there's so many reasons Batman and Superman could fight, you know, like
there's a ton.
One of them, you know, like one of them's darker, so like he's just like, hey, why don't you stop beating the crap out of people? And it's like, well, dude, I don't have superpowers. I gotta do something whenever I'm face to face with a dude with a gun, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason, you know. I don't know.
Well,
like,
just the fact that they're neighbors and they're both vigilantes that people generally either love or don't trust, and they could be like, hey man, it's my turf. Like, you just have turf wars, but something, I know it's kind of stupid, but you know what I mean, like anything to get them going quicker, just anything.
Because they have, like, there's tension at the beginning of the movie because, like, Clark is trying to write about the Batman being a vigilante and all that stuff. So there's tension there.
Mm-hmm.
But they take so long to, like, deliver on it. It's just, ugh. All right, I'm going to give it a low-key Garbo.
Yeah, I would say Loki, Garbo, maybe even floating into Garbo, because like it's one of those things to where I would say Garbaggio, because I hated it when I watched it, I still hate it, and I don't want to rewatch it. So I guess that qualifies it for
Garbaggio.
Garbaggio, because I just don't enjoy it. It's just so long and so boring, and it's one of those things
Remind
to
me
where.
to ask you some questions when we get done talking about all the movies.
Okay.
I got some good ones.
You got, but you can't ask them on air.
No. I'll ask them. No, well, it'll be on air, but after we're done with all the movies, you'll understand. Just keep
Okay,
going.
yeah, I don't know, but it's just one of those things to where it's such a long movie, and it was so hyped. I mean, Jesus, 3 years of hearing about this movie.
And that's the thing is the last trailer showed Doomsday, and it showed that like parts of that warehouse scene. Like it was just so. Like, that to me is when I was like, this movie is not going to be as good as I want it to be. Because they just spoiled half of it in the trailer. So, like, I'm not as excited for it. But I was still super hyped for it. And then it let me down. And I had to see it. I saw it twice. Or 3 times, maybe. But I had to see it again. Because I was like, it cannot be what I think it is. But it is.
Yeah, I think maybe even I saw it twice. Because I think I saw it with somebody, and then I had to see it with somebody else. Oh, then I did? Okay, so I saw it with you, and then I had to see it with, like, Walker and Jacob. And the whole time, like, Walker was so hyped, and I was like, dude, you're gonna hate it. Like, it's so bad. And that motherfucker, like, he loves DC so much that he still liked the movie.
Yeah.
Which, good for
I know
him.
what that's like.
Yeah, good for him. But I couldn't look past it because I love Superman, Batman, like, and I like the actors that are playing them.
Yeah.
Well, sort of. Ben Affleck's okay, but like,
The Town.
yes, Argo, other Ben Affleck movies. But you know, it's just one of those things to where that's what I meant to say about this movie too. Is like, you know, it gets brought up in CinemaSins, and it's a fantastic point. They have Easter eggs that are way better plot ideas and plot points than the plot that they gave us. Like the whole Robin dying thing. Like if they don't make a movie about that,
They won't. They probably won't.
why have it in there then?
Because they...
Are we wondering where Robin is all them? I didn't think about Robin the entire time. Even when they showed that thing on the screen, I didn't even really understand what that was in reference to. You know, you had to tell me, or I had to look it up, or somebody had to tell me, and they're like, oh yeah, it's a story where like Harley Quinn and the Joker kill Robin. I was like, well, that sounds amazing. That sounds like a great movie. Like,
There's a great point where they could have had that talk where he's like, it shows in the movie him like stand, look at that for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then just walk by it. Like it's so apparent in the movie, but they never talk about it, and they bring it up again in Suicide Squad.
Exactly, but it's never discussed verbally, and there's going to be no movie for it, and it sounds way better than the movies that they've made.
Well, the thing is I hope I can't imagine that they were just like, yeah, you know, I'm just gonna, you know, we're just gonna put this in there just for the fans or whatever, but it's not really gonna mean anything. I really hope that's not the case, but it might be the case. But I think what happened is they came out with this movie and Suicide Squad, and they were both received really negatively, and they were like, whoa, we got to pump the brakes. We can't just come out with all these movies, because there was supposed to be a Batman movie by now. There's supposed to be a Flash movie by now. There was supposed to be probably Part 2 of Justice League on its way by now. There's supposed to be a lot of movies in the pipeline that they just canceled.
Because of how bad everything else has been doing.
And they're just like, now they're focusing on, well, people liked Wonder Woman, so we're going to make her a Wonder Woman movie. And then people liked that movie. And then they're like, well, people kind of like Jason Momoa, so we're making an Aquaman movie. And they're going to try, and they're like, people like Margot Robbie, so we're making a Harley Quinn movie.
Instead of doing Batman and
Superman. And like, they're not doing the main characters at all, just because, I don't know.
It hasn't worked out.
It hasn't worked out.
So
Which kind of sucks, because those are the ones I care about.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm okay as long as they can just make a good movie. I don't really even care who it is because, again, I like the heroes and I like the actors playing the heroes, but the movies are terrible.
Yeah.
So, like, everybody in, like, well, not everybody in Suicide Squad, but mainly Will Smith and Margot Robbie, and, again, Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot,
however you say it.
Kim Basinger. But, and even the guy playing Aquaman, like, I don't know, physically he looks like Aquaman. I don't know how I feel about, like, him, I guess, if that makes sense. Like,
the way they write him.
Yeah, the way they write him, or his voice, or anything like that. I mean, like, literally, he looks like an Aquaman, I guess.
All right,
like,
so what do you give this? You gonna give this movie a Garbaggio?
Oh yeah, I have to. I mean, considering how hyped it was, because I remember being in college, and there was another radio show at the station called Movie Buffs, and they talked about BVS every week, and they were kind of like your brother in the way that they were like, oh, a new photo from set got released today. Let's talk 30 minets about one photo. Yeah, they're like, what does this mean? What and like they're analyzing it so much, and they were so hyped about it, to where I was like, I mean, this is going to be epic, but like, I'm not this crazy about one photo that got released on set. But they got so hyped about it to where I was like, okay, this has got to be the greatest thing ever then.
Yeah. And it wasn't.
And it wasn't. I didn't even know what to expect. I had no expectations aside from I was hoping to see Batman versus Superman and it be epic. And it was not.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Garbaggio.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so Suicide Squad.
Even more Garbaggio.
Why?
Awful.
This is your chance. Get everything out on the table.
That's not even going to make any sense, but here we go. I remember being in the theater, and I remember Tori Brown going to this movie. Tori Brown is one of my best friends, a young African-American from Houston, and he does not see superhero movies. And this movie was that hyped to where he was like, yeah, this shit looks cool.
Because the trailers were freaking dope.
Trailers were so dope.
Great music.
Yeah, pretty soundtrack.
I mean, like you know, the trailers were cut with music in a great way.
Exactly. And it was a pretty decent soundtrack. I know the CinemaSins guy kind of rips on the soundtrack, but to me, he just ripped on it for them putting Without Me by Eminem in there, which to me was kind of random because you have all these new songs and then you just have Without Me by Eminem in there.
He has new music. He has a song. He has an entire album called Bad Meets Evil. Why
I know.
wouldn't you use that?
I don't know because they're stupid.
There's a song called Wicked Ways. How good would that song have been?
That would have been great.
That would have fit perfectly.
Would have, yeah. Or just, yeah.
You don't have to shove Eminem in there also. Like,
Yeah,
I like
he didn't
Eminem,
have to
but
be
you
in
don't
it
have to
because
shove him in there.
his sound and him as an artist didn't really mesh with the other artists that they had on the album. So yeah, either pick something more related to the topic, like what you said, Wicked Ways and Bad Meets Evil, or just don't put him on the soundtrack at all. So, but anyway, yeah, the trailers were dope. The music was great. Everyone's loving this, and we're in the theater.
And they look like it looked good. Like all the characters looked cool.
Mm-hmm. They did. And I remember sitting in the theater, watching the movie, and the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, there's no way this is the movie. I was like, it better get better.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder how everyone else feels. Because other people in the theater, like there was a few nerds in the theater, like you could tell they were diehards because they were laughing at things that just weren't funny. They were laughing at the scripted jokes. And halfway through the movie, me and Tori look at each other and he goes, do you like this shit? I was like, I don't. He's like, good. I thought I was the only one. He's like, this is terrible. I was like, it is. It was awful. Just everything about it. The story was boring and unenjoyable. The plot made no sense. There really was no plot. But the plot that they had made no sense. And all these actors, to me, just being wasted with paper, thin development, just nothing there. And no excitement. The action was weak because they're fighting these random aliens from a random bad guy that we have no idea what her deal is. Like, she's literally just a witch in a cave. Like, we don't know, like, where the hell she came from, why she's important.
And her voice is terrible. I forgot how annoying her voice is.
June Moon, also terrible. I remember hating that name as well. You know, and it's just one of those things and it wasn't funny, and it didn't even really try to be funny, and when it did, it didn't land. Like, as it was one of those movies, you could see it being just super anti-hero, just super, like, not... The only way I can compare it is to, like, Pain and Gain. Because in Pain and Gain... Or Deadpool. But to me, even more Pain and Gain. Because Deadpool is technically still the good guy.
Yeah.
But, like, in Pain and Gain, they are horrible people. Mm. They're awful. But you still like them somehow. Mm. Somehow, some way, you find them funny and you like them. Mm-hmm. In this movie, they're the bad guys. And to me, they weren't very violent. They weren't funny. I didn't enjoy them, and I didn't even really know who I was rooting for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's really no one to root for. Like, they're just fighting useless robots, or not robots, but useless bugs or whatever those things were. What were they?
They're just. I don't think they ever got a name, but it was just something that she made out of people.
Yeah, just worthless minions. Because I'm never a huge fan of the minion thing.
Yeah,
it's one of those things to where either have great minions or don't have them, because they're so boring. It's just punching practice.
Yeah. And
that's all they did. You know, Will Smith shot a few people. The Joker, I mean, Jared Leto was okay as the Joker to me. His voice was inconsistent. So the whole movie, I'm just like, man, the Joker's in a movie again. Yay. Yeah. And like Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie, love Margot Robbie. I can never exaggerate how much I love Margot Robbie. She is fantastic. And she's pretty good Harley Quinn. Like, great fit in terms of, like, the personality that she brought to the table and her makeup and her design and all that good stuff. But some of the lines they gave her were crap.
Yeah.
And her and Joker almost didn't make any sense. Like, Joker's just on the outside. And, like, what is he doing? Like, what is he trying to advocate for? Like, is he just wants Harley Quinn so they can run off and be mischievous? Like... While Harley Quinn's in prison.
They're just a really shitty couple, and they just want to, like, they want to be together, but he treats her like garbage, basically.
Yeah. And, like, his scenes really made no sense, and it was kind of like what we were talking about earlier. They were just like, hey, we need the Joker. Here's all, and you even told me about how they did this. They have, like, so much footage that they cut out of him in the movie, and I'm sure that footage they cut out probably didn't make any sense either. Because the footage they put in there didn't make any sense. Most of the stuff most of the stuff they had in the movie, if they kept it in the movie, they must have felt like this made the most sense and this worked. And to me, it didn't. It didn't work.
Well, they had two different cuts of the movie. If you recall, I was telling you, like, they had the movie that was done by the director, and they like had that version of it, and that was more towards the first trailer. That was like, you know, that I started a joke or whatever, and it ends with him like, I'm gonna hurt you really, really bad. Like, that's the more of the style he was gonna go for. And then they came out with that Bohemian Rhapsody trailer that, like, everyone loved, where it was like super colorful and, like, it was made by a trailer company, and they are the ones that made the final cut of Suicide Squad, because, like, everyone was like, oh man, we want this movie, you know, like, we want this, more of this. And they took that movie instead, and they cut out all this stuff, like all these Joker scenes, there's like a bunch of scenes, like, in the trailers you never get to see. Like, he has part of his face is, like, blown off, like,
because the trailer company
in his mouth,
because the trailer company made such a good trailer that they went with basically their version of the movie for theaters.
Yeah, because Warner Brothers was really, they're really, like, freaking out because everyone hated Batman vs Superman. And they probably realized that this movie's plot didn't really work that well. But they were probably trying to, like, they were like, look, Marvel has Guardians of the Galaxy, which is basically what this is, but in space. And that movie doesn't have a super intricate plot. And, like, it's full of color and music, and, like, it's based on bad guys. And they were like, we need to make more like that and not more like a sort of a dark crime movie or whatever. Which is what I think it was more towards that, but
Have you seen both cuts of the movie?
No, there is no. You can't see the other cut of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because they never released it. And the director was like, no, this is the cut of the movie, just because, like, he obviously wants to work again. He's not going to just shit on him for taking his movie out of his hands. But anyway, so I saw this movie after seeing Jason Bourne, Ghostbusters, and... What else did I see that summer?
Don't make excuses.
Basically, I saw a bunch of boring ass movies with very bland things going on.
I saw those movies too.
And then I saw this movie, and I don't love it, but I do like it. And I think it's a bad movie. Like, I think it's a bad movie, but I still like it, which is weird. I think the first third of the movie is really solid, in my opinion, because I think it sets up all the characters. Like, he dumps on, like, the way they set up the characters and everything, but I think that's a fine way to do it. I think it's a cool way to show it, like, their cards, and, like, here's all their traits and stuff, and they have, like, little jokes, and it sets them up. I think it does a good job setting them up. The problem is they never do anything else, so that is all of our setup with all these characters.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. They don't do anything else. Like, aside from Will Smith and Margot Robbie, like, almost nobody else
does anything in the movie.
Does anything or matters, yeah.
But, like, from the get-go, they started out, and it's weird that they show, like, the Blackgate prison, and then they go back to Amanda Waller, and then it goes back to the prison or whatever. Why not just have that Amanda prison or prison Amanda? Like, it just doesn't make any sense why they cut it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm with you on that. Like, it doesn't. It's not like perfect beginning. I'm not saying it's a perfect beginning, but, like, I like the way the music is jamming. I like the way they have the music in all the scenes. Like, I love that there's color on the screen. I like the sort of, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like you're high on drugs or something.
Okay.
I don't know. It looks like that whenever they're talking about like Arkham, and they like show Arkham Asylum, and it's like Harley and the Joker. And again, I wish there was more explanation as to why she went insane or whatever.
Yeah.
But I still liked the setup of it because I was like, this is a good setup. Like we know like we got to see Harley and Joker interact. We got to see like them meet basically, and like she was treating him. And I do like the Joker in this movie.
Yeah.
I like.
I wish there would have been more of their backstory developed.
I thought you just said you didn't like the Joker.
No, I didn't like the fact that he has no purpose in the
Oh,
movie.
okay, yeah.
He does a fine job as the Joker, but like in terms of what the movie's trying to accomplish, to me he doesn't fit into that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't
You could
make
cut him
any
out and nothing
sense.
would change.
Exactly.
Except for the ending.
Exactly.
The very, very ending. But anyway, I like the way that like they're showing colors and they're like having fun with it, and it seems like everyone has a decent enough setup, and it's hard to like. I mean, they probably shouldn't have done this movie with setting up everyone's origin like that.
Mm.
So I don't know why that's the case. Maybe they should have just not done the origins at all. I mean, I don't know. That would have been tough too, because in the Guardians of the Galaxy, they don't do anyone's origin really. Like they do Peter's in the very beginning, like
And isn't that amazing?
and
how they get away with that?
And they do, like, they're showing them in prison, like getting in prison, and then like they're holding up the thing. And it's like this girl, daughter of Thanos, like this guy, tree, like super strong or whatever, and it's like moves on, never goes back on any of those.
Yeah.
And like they sort of mention it throughout the movie, and I think that's what this movie needed. Is they needed, like, hey, why are you weird? Where did you get fire powers?
Where did this Asian lady with a sword come from?
How did your husband get in the sword?
How did the guy even have fire powers?
Yeah, exactly. How did he get fire powers?
We don't know how?
No, they never say. It's just like, oh,
he's just randomly a devil, basically.
yes, like, and how did no one ever find this? You know, the Huntress or whatever her name. What is her name? The stupid girl, the villain.
June Moon?
What is the actual?
Enchantress.
God damn it! Thank you.
Yeah.
And like, where does that come from? How does Harley change over? What are they doing? How did she get, how did she get so obsessed with him? You know,
Yeah.
how did Deadshot become Deadshot? That's another thing I'm sorry. All right, so I think the beginning of the movie is solid, but then there is no second act in the movie. It goes from that to our final battle, which is basically just being in the city.
Yeah.
And they shove more origin stuff in there, which is what we wanted or needed.
But it's poorly executed.
But it's poorly executed, and it doesn't, like, that's a cool shot of, like, it's a cool scene of them interacting, and, you know, she's going into the tub of acid and all that, but it doesn't do anything. And as much as I like seeing it, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it doesn't help us understand anything more. We just get to see her become weird, and the Joker is a jerk to her, which we already kind of know anyway. So there's no point in that. I remember thinking it is really stupid that she survives that fall at the end. I gotta say that before I forget about it.
What fall at the end?
She falls out of a helicopter backwards in high heels and lands and she's perfectly fine. She like rolls out of it.
Yeah.
That really bothered me.
No, yeah. The whole movie bothered me.
But then the villain is terrible. Maybe the worst villain in a modern day superhero movie I can think of.
Awful villain.
I honestly can't think of a worse one, because other ones are boring or nothing. This one was like bothersome. Like, I didn't like the voice. It seemed kind of corny. It seemed like something out of Power Rangers, to be honest with you. Like when I was a kid and I was watching Power Rangers in like the 90s or early 2000s, like, it just looked terrible.
Yeah.
And it didn't make it. Her plan didn't make any sense. And then her brother was like this tall, like a Colossus-looking dude, and he didn't really. I don't understand how it seems like he's less powerful for some reason.
And there's literally no, like, I always forgot that her name was Enchantress, because I think it's said once or twice. So basically,
it says whenever she transforms.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know her name, and then her brother's name was literally Brother. You know what I mean? Like, I think his name is said once.
He's called Incubus.
Exactly.
But I think it's once or maybe not at all. It's just like on the subtitles or something.
Yeah. That's awful. Like, I have two villains I know nothing about, I don't care about. They are corny as shit because I don't. They're just.
She's dancing around.
Yeah. And there's these crazy gods, and she's got some stupid voice.
Why not just keep her as she looked? Like, she looked cool as is. It's supposed to be kind of a messed up movie, you know? It's not supposed to be a straight up, you know, sun is shining superhero movie. Why not keep her looking like the demon? That was a way cooler look.
Yeah. I don't know. And I honestly just wish they wouldn't have had her to begin with. Just a whole different villain. I don't know what kind of villain. I don't know Suicide Squad that well. But basically, I mean, it's like, have you ever read a Suicide Squad comic? Is that one of their villains?
I've seen 2 of the animated movies. One of them is where basically the Suicide Squad is like tasked. They have to go to Arkham basically, and they have to. What do they go? Oh, man. They go there to like kill the Joker basically. Like, we need you to go in there, sneak in there, kill the Joker. And then, like, they go in there, and Batman shows up or whatever, but it's like, they're still villains. Like, they're killing everyone in their way, and they're bad, and they're going there to kill the Joker. And then Batman's barely in it, you know? But he's in it, you know? I feel like that's...
What is he doing? Is he stopping them?
Yeah, he shows up, and, like, he tries to stop them, and then Amanda Waller's like, get the fuck off of me. Like, basically, and she shows, like, an army
That's
up,
the
and he has
black
to
lady,
run.
right?
Yeah. And she's way better in that, too. She doesn't make any sense, really, in this movie. She kills all those people for no reason.
Yeah, I feel like she was the bad guy in this movie.
Yeah. And, again, I like the actor playing her, and I like some of the way it seems like she's kind of messed up. Like, she does whatever it takes to get something done, is, like, the perception I have of her. But it's not executed great because she's not really... I don't know. She's not, like, menacing enough, and she's... They really do have a problem in this movie of, like, who's good, who's bad, because it's kind of like, you know, there's good superheroes in this movie, and then there's, like, the Suicide Squad, but they're also kind of like the superheroes, and then Amanda Waller's, like, trying to beat Superman, but she's trying to save the world, but she's killing innocent people. Like, it just is very...
no sense.
Yeah.
And then I also thought of more things of just how it was so corny, because Will Smith was actually kind of corny, and then that honestly I hated the Flame On dude. I thought he was super corny, and I thought he was awful. And like, even though he had a little bit more of a role than Boomerang and Killer Croc, because I think those two guys were the most useless characters in the movie.
This movie. I think I liked his lines the most.
Yeah,
I'm just besides Harley Quinn and the Joker,
of course, and yeah, I don't know, the Flame On guy. I hated him, and like that whole line where he's like, "Yeah, like,
these are my people.
These are my family." It's like, really, dude.
That was straight out of Fast and Furious.
Straight, because like I don't even know any of them, and I don't care about any of them. And he's the same way. They've been together for a day or something. Yeah, we're family now, just because you're okay with me bursting into flames and killing my family in the past. Like, yeah, we're family. And it's, I don't know, just it was so bad. It was so disappointing.
The action where they're in the building is not good. It's nothing really. The guy never really throws any boomerangs. Killer Croc rips one guy's head off.
What was this movie rated?
PG-13.
Should have been rated R.
Think so? That would have helped. It has a rated R feel, so yeah, it probably would have helped if they just committed to it.
Yeah, because to me that would have eliminated some of the corniness.
They probably would have gone with people as the bad guys instead of...
Exactly, and that's exactly what I was going to say. It's kind of like in Logan, where it was just rated R and it was just brutally violent, and it was kind of like, you know, human versus human mutants and superpowers, but they still have like that human feel, and it's just super violent because the characters that we're dealing with, they don't necessarily have superpowers. They're all kind of your basic gun and punch and kick kind of heroes.
And they're put together to kill Superman, which is another thing. Why wouldn't they be put together to stop Batman or just be a force to be reckoned with? Why does it have to be to kill Superman? Because, again,
none of them could do it.
I don't understand why. The goal is to kill Superman. Superman's already dead. And Superman was never a threat. Because at the end of Batman vs. Superman, we're all sorry that we lost him.
Yeah.
So why are we afraid of him?
I don't know.
Or why is he the goal, you know?
I don't know. And he could kill all of them in 2 seconds because none of them have anything to stop him. Who would stop him?
No one.
No one. That's what I'm saying. No one would stop him.
Maybe not even the villain in this movie.
The closest one would be, the villain in this movie or Flame On.
Yeah.
Everyone else doesn't stand a chance. He could kill him in 2 seconds. They're practically human. They're human.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the Croc, but even then,
what is he gonna do? Bite him?
Big Croc. Yeah, exactly.
And then at the end, she's like, "I know you're forming a Justice League," and she shows all the files of the Justice League members, and I'm like, "Why didn't you go to these people?" Because I think Aquaman and Wonder Woman and the Flash could probably take down Superman. So, all right. So, what you're gonna give it a Garbaggio?
Garbaggio.
I'm gonna give it a low-key Garbo.
Ooh,
I'm sorry.
you are so nice.
I like the first third of the movie, and I liked I don't know how different it was than every other movie I saw that summer.
Literally, the only thing that kept it
from being complete garbage.
Yeah, from being
even
the
lower
word,
than Garbaggio.
honestly, like whenever you told me about this, like, or you answered this question for me, like whenever being asked my first day on the job at the job I'm working at, what's your favorite and least favorite movie? The fact that I didn't say Suicide Squad is my least favorite, it might be one of the biggest regrets I've had ever.
What did you say?
I don't even remember because I don't know. I was kind of put on the spot, so
Yeah.
I was just like,
Would you put Pain and Gain as your number favorite?
no, probably Goodfellas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's like for least favorite, it's just kind of hard to pick like your least favorite because you generally try to see movies that you're gonna like. You don't go out of your way to
pay
see
$12 to see a movie
that you don't like.
Yeah, you don't think it's gonna be good.
Exactly. So it's one of those things to where when you're like told to pick your least favorite movie, especially like on the spot, you're just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you just think of a movie that you hate, but like you just like, I don't know, The Notebook. Like I don't know, just like I don't know. Like I can't think of something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the fact that I didn't say Suicide Squad because I absolutely hated it, and it blows me away how okay people are with it because to me the only thing that makes it a movie worth watching is the actors, or well the characters that the actors play, not the story or the dialogue or the action or the bad guy, the plot, nothing. To me, there's nothing there that I enjoyed. I don't know.
All right, so we move on to Wonder Woman. Not a lot of thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I don't have much.
To me, it's a worse first Captain America movie. And I don't know. I remember going to see it. I wasn't super pumped for it just because, I don't know. The trailers to me just was like, all right, this looks like a good movie. Like, well, whatever. I'm not super hyped for it. And that's pretty much how I came out. Like, there really isn't a whole lot to talk about it for me just because it was pretty much what I thought it was going to be. But I just don't, like, they both Captain America and this movie, they both have, like, a watch or something that they're giving to the significant other. Like, it ends with people crashing a plane, basically, or blowing up a plane. Yeah. It takes place during a world war. It's just so similar. It's all involves, like, a chemical weapon, like, a new weapon they've discovered to try to win the war, basically. And it's just, I don't know. I didn't really care. I didn't really care for how similar it was in that fact. And I never care for when people say, like, I love you at the end of a movie. And, like, Steve, Trevor, and her knew each other for like, I don't know, maybe a month, maybe. And, like, you're like, I'm saying I love you. Why not just say, like, I don't know, it's just something less, like, not forced, you know? Yeah, just something else, you know? I really just didn't.
I had strong feelings for you after a month of knowing you.
I was like, it was nice knowing you or something. Just like, I don't know, there's something you can write there where it's not like, he doesn't have to say I love you. Like, it's dumb. Also, Wonder Woman could have flown the plane at the end, and she probably would have survived it, or something like that, you know? Or crashed the plane, or anything. It didn't look like it was going to do that much damage anyway, because it was carrying that gas, and it didn't really look like the explosion was that damaging, and how do we know the gas isn't just going to fall down on us? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. The villain, again, sort of weak. Mm-hmm. Sort of reminded me of the other two movies, honestly. He's like a big guy.
What are the two movies?
Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad. He looks pretty similar. Mm-hmm. I thought it was weird they had the guy from Harry Potter playing him.
What guy from Harry Potter?
He transforms into a werewolf or something in one of the movies.
Oh,
and he's like Harry's godfather or whatever. And he looks like a really nice British guy. And I was like, I don't really believe this guy is Ares, the god of war, but... So
yeah, I think I pretty much agree with all of that. To me, this movie was not basically what
it's
made
by the numbers, very by the numbers.
It was very by the numbers, but what made it so much better for, I guess, even for the average fan and myself included, is that the other movies were so bad that it made this movie look better than what it really was because. Yeah, like when analyzing it on the surface, yeah, it's pretty much like Captain America 1, like you said. It's very by the book, very standard DC origin story. To me, again, just poor writing and poor character development in some way. Because like, I don't care. Like, I don't enjoy. I'm not like, oh, man. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, going back and rewatching all the Marvel movies with Kyle, or Gamble, whatever you want to call them, I'm just like, man, like, these are some good movies.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely care about the characters. I feel emotion throughout the movie. When watching these movies, it's very rare that I feel emotion. There will be parts of the movie where I'm like, yeah, this is cool, or this part of the movie is good, or this movie's pretty good, but I don't, like, generally care or feel emotion throughout the movie. Like, it's never natural. Just like the script is not natural.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, like, forcing it down your throat, and this time they did a better job than they did with the other movies. Because
I think the humor was way better in this movie.
and that's not even that good. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, the humor was better, but it's still not that good.
They-
And maybe in that one it's Gail Gadot or whatever, because
Yeah.
she's not like you said, she's not really known for her acting. She's more of a model.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's one of those things to where if I'm more impressed with your acting in a Fast and Furious movie than I am a superhero movie where you're the lead,
Oh, really? You think she was better than the Fast and Furious movie?
it's more. That's kind of that's kind of a strong
Hot take,
statement. It's a
yeah.
hot take, but at the same time, like, to me, there's some truth in that. To where, if I'm more convinced and find you more believable, and enjoy your acting more in a movie that's more ridiculous, and they've got 8 of,
Yeah.
than I do in a movie where you're a superhero and you're the main character.
Yeah.
Like, to me, there's a problem. And I would say it might be some of her acting. I don't want to blame it all on writing, but it's just insane to me how much more I care and how much more emotion I naturally express in these other movies than I do in these movies. Because I'm just like, ugh.
I wish we could break it down. I don't know why that is. I really don't.
I don't either. I'm not smart enough to
Analyze
it like that.
There
But
is-
I just know that I'm like, I know this is going to happen next. And it's just all so predictable. And it's all just very... It was just very, by the book.
Very safe movie.
Yep.
I would say.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. To me, like, there was one scene where they're like, it's Chris Pine. He's like taken to the Amazon world or whatever, and he's like naked in front of her, and she's like, "Are you average?" And he's like, "Above average." But they obviously say it better than that, and I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty funny."
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
Yeah, not like a good dick joke, but...
And then they're like on the boat later, and he's like, "Oh, so you read books about like sex, basically?" And she's like, "Yeah, I do." And he's like, "Well, what do they say?" And he's like, "You're not gonna like the answer." And he's like, No, I like the answer." And she's like, "Well, they basically say that men are not good at it or whatever." And he's just like, "Oh, all right." Like, I don't know. Like, there was some decent jokes in the movie, like, but it does a better job, I feel like, than Man of Steel. And the only thing it does better than Man of Steel to me, besides some of the humor's better, is the origin is quicker. And that's not saying a whole lot, because the origin takes a long time in Man of Steel, and I even think it takes too long in this movie.
Yes.
But it's quicker.
It is quicker, and that is good, because it's one of those things, too, like, a lot of times you kind of already know the origin going in, or you don't care.
Yeah,
You just want them to be a hero, and you're ready for all the good stuff that comes with that. The only thing I will say on the nitpickiness of the jokes, yes, those are good jokes, but those are the only good jokes. And to me, the easiest joke to make is a dick joke or a sex joke. I mean, how hard is that? Giggity. I just made one. I just made a dick joke. You know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to make dick jokes. And you know people are going to laugh because they're just like, oh, yeah, people think dicks are funny. I don't know. To me, it shows a lack of creativity. Again, not that it's not funny.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't appreciate a nice little dick joke in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
It's just not that hard. Giggity.
True.
Again, another dick joke. You
It's
can,
the
like,
same
literally...
one. Come on.
I know, but still, any thing can be turned into a sex or dick joke.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very well known that men are not good at sex.
So, going
I
off,
said it. I
going
put it
off
in
that.
air quotes. No one can see me do air quotes.
It's okay. They felt it.
They know.
They did. They find them.
Yeah, they.
All right. So, like, the only other thing I would probably say about this movie is, I don't. If you watch Civil War, they introduced Spider-Man and Black Panther in that movie, and they do a pretty decent job of it. And then in Black Panther and Spider-Man: Homecoming, They really don't talk about their origin at all. The heroes are just immediately the heroes. In Batman vs Superman, they introduce Wonder Woman, and they sort of just she's in that movie maybe the same amount of time. Close. Why not just start the movie off with her being Wonder Woman? You know. I don't really understand.
don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
That we really need her origin. And her origin is she was just a god weapon, basically. You know,
Yeah.
it's not.
And at the
she just came from the island is basically the only important thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but you just for example, they could have skipped all the kid stuff and some of the montage training and just gone straight to her being a woman,
and then just
amongst
have a flashback
other women.
Yeah, and just have her be a flashback of her when she left the island. And it's like, oh, this is your first, day
Well,
off
they
the island
could, if they wanted to start on the island, they could go, hey, this is her homeland.
She's been here all her life.
She's 20 something right now, and she's amongst these other women. They're training. She's the shit. Here you go.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do the whole kid thing, and her go, get back up, Diana.
Yeah.
Diana, get up. You never quit. It's like, yeah.
It's like an African,
Yeah.
Irish.
Thank
I've
you.
never even heard that accent.
It was a great one. Thank you.
All right, so what do you give it?
Decent. You're giving it a decent?
Just decent, yeah.
You're so nice to the other movies, and then you're giving this one a decent.
I've literally almost seen this exact movie. I saw it.
I was gonna give
6
it a
years
decent.
earlier.
I was gonna give it a decent, but I felt obligated to give it a mad decent. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably just give it a decent because it's one of those movies to where, the other movies are so bad that this movie was good because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's another movie in the DC universe I have no interest in watching again.
Yeah.
I've seen all the Marvel movies multiple times. The DC movies, I don't think I've had the desire to rewatch one of them. Except maybe Man of Steel now.
Yeah, because it's been so long.
It's been long enough, yeah. The other ones, I have no interest in rewatching, ever.
There's another thing I just thought of. There's a scene where the person in Captain America escapes with the super soldier serum or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's escaping with it, and they're like, who are you working for or whatever. And he undoes his tooth, and there's a cyanide tablet or whatever, and kills himself. And Wonder Woman, they find another person who sent you to kill me, and he does the exact same thing. I don't understand who was let's put this in the movie, and I was like, dude, it's the same thing from the other movie.
We're gonna know.
Can we think of it? Let him shoot himself or something, something different,
something,
or run away,
stab himself,
fall off a building, just
jump,
something, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway. Enough about ways to
Are you near a knife? Are you near a tall building? Can you get to one right now? Can you run into that knife a bunch of times? Are you near a tall building? Get to the top. Jump. Whatever it takes.
40-year-old version.
Yes.
All right, so the last movie, Justice League.
Oof.
Anything.
Oof. There's so much to say. I mean, it's one of those things to where, to me, it's harder to be a bigger disappointment than BVS. But it really tried. It really tried to be a bigger disappointment than BVS. Because it was another one, to me, kind of a random villain, kind of a weak villain. A lot of plot holes, a lot of little things that just don't really add. Yeah, don't make sense, don't add up. They're just this is happening, deal with it. And I have a problem with that.
I don't get why what's the point of introducing all the characters in Batman vs Superman if we have to reintroduce ourselves to them in this movie because we had to go.
Because they did such a horrible job the first time.
I know. I'm just dude, but that was your shot. You had it, you blew it. Move on. Just move on, dude.
I don't know.
We blew it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I think
we don't need to.
Unfortunately, it's in CinemaSins, but it is kind of accurate. It's why do we need the Flash? Because everything he can do, Superman can do,
and be stronger.
Yeah. And he can do it better. He saved one family, Superman saved a whole school.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time, at the same speed.
They shouldn't have made him as fast as the Flash, at least. I mean, that should have.
They should have given the Flash the advantage. Yeah, they to me don't do a very good job of separating the people's powers.
They don't know what to do with them either. They don't know what to do with pretty much any of these characters because they didn't. Aquaman was never in a body of water, really.
Yeah,
he stopped the dam in the middle of the movie.
Of course,
he stopped a leak.
To me, it's just
He's
like Killer Croc.
Plumber.
Yeah, to me, it's just like Killer Croc. They're like, "Hey, man, we need you to kind of hang out in all the scenes and be strong. Mm-hmm. And as soon as there's some water involved, we'll make sure that we say your name so people know."
And Wonder Woman doesn't really use her sword or her shield or really her bracelets at all. She tries using it in Superman, and he stops her, and then she uses it once at the very end, and that's like it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's dumb. I don't know.
Yeah. To me, they don't do a good job of, once again, developing the characters, but also just like giving us a better feel for what their powers are, what makes each one of them
Separate them, you know.
separate them. They don't separate them at all. They're basically just like, they're all together. Everybody knows how to punch and kick. Superman's a god.
And they didn't. And the villain isn't interesting at all because he doesn't really have any interesting powers either. Because, like, I know what you're saying, like, it's stupid to have like an army of like just mindless people or whatever. But at least if you're gonna have that, like, at least let the hero show off what they can do.
Exactly.
Like easily, and like they don't ever really take them out in any interesting way. It's always like an explosion, or they like punch one at a time, and it's like a boring action scene. Or Batman's shooting a gun. Another time he's shooting a freaking gun.
Yeah.
Something Batwoman would never do. But anyway,
and that's the other thing too, is I feel like, everybody has powers and abilities, and they just got Batman. He's just there.
yeah,
And like,
he has like technology, but even that technology is kind of just. I
but
don't
it's
know,
one of
like,
those
who
things to
couldn't do
me, depending on who they're fighting or what they do with it, based on what they gave us, he's easily the most boring in terms of the fighting. Easily the most boring, and they gave him quite a few scenes of action.
Yeah.
Boring action. To me, most of the action was boring.
Like
but
when he first starts the movie and he sees that guy on the roof, and then he fights that one parademon, and it's just like a shot of like, it's like a shaky cam through the air, and it's dumb.
Yeah.
And then he's shooting the gun at the end, and then he's kicks like one guy, and he's using a tank, and he's using a car, and he's using a plane, and it's just
It's one of those things to where this is DC's version of the Avengers, right?
right.
Compare those movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, one movie is epic, and the other movie is just so bland. Like, it's one of those things. It's not a horrible movie. Like, I was able to sit through it.
Yeah, it's
Like
shorter. It's like it's
yeah,
not
it's
even
2 hours.
It's not even 2 hours.
There you go. So, like, I was able to sit through it, but, like, I didn't go, oh, man, this movie's dragging on. Like, oh, my God, it's the worst movie I've ever seen. But it's, like, one of those things to where
The final battle was lame.
it's so epic. Like, they have so many epic heroes, and they have so much potential. And you're just like, I can't believe this is what they've been building for. They've been pumping out these other movies so
For
they could
this.
give us this.
Yeah.
This is it. Like,
And it goes back to what I'm saying. Why waste time on the origin again? That's another thing. In Batman vs Superman, they show like Aquaman or whatever,
yeah,
and they show the Flash too. And it's like, these aren't even origins. These are just video recordings of them.
yeah.
Why are we watching this? You know, if it's not gonna get the origin out of the way, don't waste this movie on it. Like,
Don't show it.
I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like this movie had, I don't know. It had a really good chance to be good, I think.
It had a great chance to be good.
But
And I feel like they don't know what to do, because I feel like whenever they do something well, it basically sounds like they're copying Marvel. And whenever they...
people need to shut up about that. Like, they're superhero movies. Like, they're gonna be.
Well, you just said how Wonder Woman's like Captain America 1.
Yeah, but those are like, it's a carbon copy.
That's
of
what I'm
it.
saying.
But
so
don't
whenever
do
they
that
do
exact thing.
So whenever they do something well, it's been a carbon copy. And whenever they don't do something well, they're just doing it on their own, and it's awful.
Yeah.
And like, it's one of those things to where they can't seem to find their niche. They can't seem to find what makes them who they are. They have no sense of identity. They're just like, hey, you know these heroes, right? You're gonna like it. Here you go. And it's just,
And this is their fifth movie too. Like, Justice League is their fifth movie. Like, you figured they'd have some direction to go in or whatever. Like, either be dark or like realistic or fun or like colorful or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
and you think they would go back and go, what did people hate about these other movies? Well, let's try to fix those
Yeah.
things. And they really don't.
I mean, they try to do like that thing where like, oh, you're not killing a bunch of people because it's not in the city or whatever. But that's like the only thing.
You're not killing a bunch of people because it's what?
Because like in Man of Steel, they had a problem with like, oh, Superman's going through all these buildings and killing all these people, and like it's so much destruction or whatever. And then like in Batman vs Superman and Justice League, they're like, oh, it's an abandoned town, no one's there, don't worry, everyone's safe.
Yeah, which is
Stupid
kind of stupid in
and
itself.
unrealistic.
Yeah.
Everyone, and that's not a problem. That like, I'd way rather them kill so many people, but it'd be like during a battle, and it'd be like, well, dude, we had to save the planet, people had to die, but the rest of the movie be solid. I'd way rather trade those things. Like,
yeah,
don't
because
know.
it's
They just need to do more creative things with their characters. That's another thing I had a problem with this movie. Is like Superman shows up and just kicks the shit out of the bad guy, and I'm like, why do we even need anyone else?
We don't
ever.
We don't.
Unless he's gone, like away somewhere. I mean, I guess if there's 2 crimes happening at the same time, maybe then. But why would we need anyone else?
We don't.
Because he beat Doomsday basically by himself.
Yeah.
And he beat this guy by himself. And he beat Zod by himself. So he's beaten all the main bad guys pretty much by himself.
I thought Wonder Woman threw the spear through Doomsday or whatever.
No, dude. He's holding it,
Oh,
which
that's
is
right.
stupid.
He's
and he
doing
drives it through him.
That's what kills him.
Yeah.
Kills
Why not
him.
just throw it?
Yeah. No, of
Or
course.
have her throw it. Or Batman.
She's got a great arm.
I'm sure Batman works. I mean, Batman works out. We saw it. He could have just thrown it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just, it is amazing how bad they are.
And I used to watch like the television show when I was a kid. And I was like, it was like a Justice League television show.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like way better than this movie. And the plots like were better and the characters were used well. And it was like, you're fast, so you have to do this. Or like, you're strong, so you have to do this. Or you're smart, so yeah. And like, it made sense. Whereas like this movie's like, Cyborg's a robot, so he's gonna tear apart the bad guy's super weapon, basically, and then
Yeah, I feel like he was kind of useless in the movie.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, he's like, I can locate things, so I'm a GPS, like basically. And then everybody was like, well, we're strong, and then Batman was like, well, I can steal a gun. So yeah,
Well, where do you put it on the ranking scale?
Loki Garbo.
Yeah, I guess
Just
I'll
because
give
of what it could have been, you know.
No, yeah, I
that's
guess.
what really like tips me. I'm not telling you how to rank yours, but
Well, I mean, I'm floating around Loki, Garbo.
Oh, really? You're not? Oh, you're gonna go Garbaggio on it. I thought you were debating between decent.
No, no. It's debate between Garbaggio or Loki, Garbo, just because
When they fight Superman, it's a cool scene. Again, it kind of makes the Flash look pointless, but it's a cool scene. And it's got some decent moments in it, but it's such a letdown. Oh man, I might even go Garbaggio.
massive letdown. Now the real question is, you only ranked
Loki,
Man
Garbo.
of Steel as number 1.
Yeah.
What is the rest of that ranking?
Man of Steel number 1, Wonder Woman number 2,
Mm-hmm.
and then God, get ready.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Then Batman vs Superman.
And then Justice League.
Then Justice League.
Justice League is last?
No, Justice League is second to last.
To what?
Batman vs Superman is last.
So you just switched it. So
Yeah, so I just switched
BVS is last.
Man of Steel is a good movie.
Yeah.
Not great. Has some flaws. It's fine.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman is a carbon copy, but I'm sure if I hadn't seen Captain America, I would have liked it more. So it's a good movie. It's fine. Then Suicide Squad, believe it or not, I mean, it didn't have to me, it didn't have the same expectations as the other two did.
Mm-hmm.
So I rank it higher because it didn't let me down as much, and I still like the first third of that movie, and it's shorter. Then I'm going to go with Justice League, which is shorter, let me down a lot, though. And then I go Batman vs. Superman, which is longer, feels long, is dumb, is basically the reason the other movies suck, too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, it's bad for so many reasons.
We have we really only have one thing that differs. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna do Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, and then Justice League,
Okay.
and then, God, it's so tough here at the end. I think strictly because of length
Yeah.
of the movie,
Okay.
Suicide Squad will be 4th,
Okay.
and BVS will be 5th, just because I hate them both.
Uh-huh.
But Suicide Squad is shorter, and it's got Margot Robbie. That's about it. Other than that, to me, they could both be last place.
All right. So let me ask you this. Suicide Squad or Rampage?
In terms of what?
What movie is worse? We have to watch a movie right now. Assume you're not tired as hell.
Of
we have to
course.
watch a movie
Right
this
now.
second. And I've got Rampage in my hand, and I've got Suicide Squad in my hand.
Rampage all day.
Rampage all day.
And they're both awful movies.
But you'd rather see
Rampage.
Rampage.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because I at least enjoy The Rock. And the The Rock, yeah, it's basically The Rock is the only reason why I would pick Rampage over Suicide Squad, because they're both awful movies with
Awful plots.
awful
actors.
plots. Yeah, awful plots and all awful stories and
Acting, yeah.
awful development and awful writing and awful jokes.
It's an awful lot
It's
of
a
stuff.
lot. It's an awful lot of stuff that is awful.
All right, what are
Horrible.
The movies? What are
Yeah,
the
what was
movies?
your? I thought you had some hard questions for me.
Pacific Rim or Suicide Squad?
I only saw the second one.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Another just shit movie, but still Pacific Rim,
Really?
because it was so bad it was funny. Like Charlie Day being the bad guy was pretty funny. Like it's, and that again just kind of comes down to preference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think now. You got me trying to think of a movie that I like, or that
I like less.
than Suicide Squad. Yeah.
What about Blockers? You said Blockers was
Oh yeah,
Blockers
Blockers all
All
day.
Day,
It's a
yeah.
comedy. Yeah.
What about? Is that it? You liked Ready Player One, right?
Oh yeah, great movie. Pretty good movie. What's that one with? I mean, I think I would still pick it, but it's
You didn't see any of the new Transformers, did you?
no. But on that note, I mean, if it was between like one of the new Transformers and Suicide Squad, I definitely would consider Suicide Squad. What's the one?
Did you ever see Night School with Kevin Hart?
Nope.
Looked absolutely
It
terrible.
looked awful. So yeah, that might be in there. What was the one? It was with Natalie Portman, and they're in like the bubble
Oh,
with the aliens.
Annihilation? Is it?
Annihilation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Annihilation or Suicide Squad?
Exactly. I would say Suicide Squad's definitely probably going to get the love on that one,
Really? Okay.
but not by much, because Annihilation was very boring.
Mm-hmm. It
And-
looked boring.
It was quite the letdown.
Well, I guess that's all I have.
What about you? You don't have anything like that? I mean, you would pick Suicide Squad over Rampage, and you'd pick Suicide Squad over.
Yeah, I would pick Suicide Squad over Rampage.
What was the other
I
one
still
you asked
enjoy
me?
a part of that movie at least. I still enjoy it over that. I'd pick it over Pacific Rim. I thought Pacific Rim was pretty average, honestly. Did you ever see the new Kingsman movie?
Yep,
The Golden Circle? I
Yeah.
would pick Suicide Squad over that movie.
Wow.
I thought that movie was just terrible.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I was very disappointed in it, but I'd still pick it over Suicide Squad. Now, yeah, that basically Suicide Squad has been my measuring stick since I've seen that movie.
of what? Just like...
I'm like, oh, it's better than Suicide Squad.
All right, well, I think that's all we got. All we got today. We did all the DC movies. We'll see the new Aquaman. We'll throw it in there. We'll go in depth on it.
Where do you think you would rank Aquaman? Where do you think it's going to fall in the
To
ranking?
me, there's no way it's better than Man of Steel.
You don't think so?
Because it looks
Do you think
to
it has a
me-
chance to be number 2, though?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, all it has to do is be better than decent, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, it just, I can tell from the trailers, I'm like, this is going to have a super long origin story.
Yep.
And I'm not going to enjoy it as much as the Superman one. I don't think, at least. You know, you never know. But if I had to guess, it's going to be a longer origin story. The villain's going to probably be poop in it because I don't know. They got like the guy who played the Green Goblin in the original Spider-Man's, William Dafoe. And
Yeah, they do.
and I think they have two, and they have the guy with the laser eyes, you know, like from the trailers. Anyway, like classic Aquaman villain. So they have two villains in this movie, and I'm like, that's never a great idea, especially on your first go around.
Normally not, yeah.
So, and I'm not sold on Jason Momoa.
I'm not either.
So
I'm not either.
I'd have to say I'm looking forward to it just because I'm excited to see it, and you never
I'm
know.
excited to dump on it.
Where do you think it's gonna be? You think it's gonna be?
It's one of those things to where...
Is there any way this movie's worse than Suicide Squad? Do you think in your mind?
Ooh, that is a
'Cause there's-
fantastic question.
There's like relatively no hype for it, you know. For us, you know, we're like, yeah, we want to see it, but we're not like, God, I gotta go see this movie right now.
To me, there's no way
No way.
it's worse than Suicide Squad. And if it is, holy shit. Shut the studio down if it is. I would say that, yeah, it really just has to put in a little effort to be number 2.
Okay.
And I want it to be number 1, but no, I'm not expecting it. I'm not expecting it at all. What's their next movie? Like, what did they have on the
The
docket?
Joker movie.
And when is that projected to come
I
out?
think either summer or fall of 2019.
And is that the Joker movie that's being done with Jared Leto?
No, it's
Leo DiCaprio.
no. Freaking what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix is the Joker.
Oh God.
So he's the Joker, and there's no Batman in it.
And it's directed by Scorsese?
It's produced by Scorsese.
Who's directing?
I don't remember. So there's that one, and then I think there's a solo Harley Quinn movie. Or no, there's a Harley Quinn and like Catwoman and like a bunch of women supervillains, basically. That movie's coming out in 2019.
I would
Wonder
say
Woman's coming out in fall 2019.
the new one.
The new one, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that Joker movie that right there, don't even know anything about it. If
Yeah.
I had to guess, that is either going to be their best movie
Or their worst.
or they're going to cancel it.
Yeah.
I mean, would Scorsese really put his name on something that's going to be ass?
I mean, they're done shooting it. They finished shooting it.
Interesting.
So it's going to get made. All right, man. Take us home.
All right, well, this has been another epic episode of The Decent Show. Again, reviewed DC. We will let you guys know as soon as we see Aquaman, or it might be kind of like a Venom redo where Reagan sees it, tells me about it, and I just dump on it without even seeing it. And honestly, sometimes... sometimes it's better. I mean, I want to see it, but if I don't see it with Reagan, I don't know when and if I will. So we'll see what happens there. But again, this is The Decent Show. Make sure you stay tuned. Follow us on Twitter. We tweet on there, and make sure you just stay up on all the episodes. Go back and listen to some of the old episodes. You're gonna have there's some gems in there, some good knowledge. And yeah, for Reagan Horton, I'm Ryan Money. Have a good night.